And now, it's the Stick Niner Empire Podcast Show with your hosts, Iron Mike Arango, Host McLaughlin, and Lucas Ortiz.
I'm not used to having this blur in the background. I don't know how I feel about it. But welcome to the Stick Niner Empire Podcast. Here with Host McLaughlin and Lucas Ortiz. Gentlemen, great to see you again. Really sorry about the outcome this week. We lost by a score of 22-17 in a game that honestly could have been won, but there's so many things to bring up in this game. The play calling of our defensive coordinator, rookie receiver just tearing us up to shreds. One or two small positive notes. Jalen Moore played fantastic in light of, being the backup and taking over for Trent Williams. He only gave up one pressure, by the way. Thought that was fantastic. McKivitt, 6 pressures, 6 hurries, a sack. How are we feeling this week, guys? I mean, I felt we had a chance to win both of these games. We lost both of them. I really felt like the Vikings wanted it more this week, and I hate to say that 2 weeks in a row. Starting with you, Ortiz, how do you feel about what we just witnessed?
Not good. I mean, it was a frustrating game to watch. It just goes to show you talent is very important, but it's not the only way that you can win a game. We made so many penalties, so many errors, so many missed blocks, missed assignments, just not running routes the way they were meant to be ran. And Purdy, he didn't look good in the fourth quarter. He kind of got on fire in the third, but ultimately when we needed him to come through in crunch time, he just wasn't able to do it. So,
he looked great in the first quarter. He started off like 9 for 10, 11 for 12, something like that. He looked on fire. I was really happy.
And insult to injury, we're finding out today that he has a concussion and is currently in concussion protocol. So it's not looking like he's going to play Sunday with the short week. So we'll talk about that game later, but it doesn't seem like we came out of that game injury-free. It looks like Brock's probably going to miss at least a week in the concussion protocol.
It's a strange thing, too, man, because they didn't – it's Wednesday now. We're finding this out on Wednesday, although they checked him out on Tuesday. I guess he didn't have any headaches on Monday. He just started feeling bad on Tuesday evening, I think. So not a good thing. It's just coming a little late, but – it is what it is. We'll deal with it. Luke, how did you feel watching the game this weekend? I brought back some bad memories.
I lost my voice, but it was so frustrating, man. Just to see Purdy out there, and you want us to come back and win that game, and we had the chance to do it, and then those picks were, just it didn't need to happen. And one of them, I thought he should have thrown the ball away because. And the other one was just like a timing route Lucas was telling me about that, it either works or it doesn't. And it doesn't always work. So maybe that wasn't the greatest play call. I thought that, McCaffrey had a good game, but, we're starting to see that even he is human too, right? So I don't know. It's a really frustrating game to watch.
It's 2 weeks now, 2 weeks in a row now, Luke. He fumbles, at the 5-yard line, 10-yard line?
That was a huge play. We go in there, we left 3 points at the least, 6, 7 at the most. And if he doesn't fumble the ball, we're going to take the lead. We're going to put the pressure on Minnesota. The game can completely go in a different direction. I think that allowed them to have a little confidence going into that next drive. And they ultimately went in and scored a touchdown and set the tone. So they established the run right off the bat, which I think led to Steve Wilkes calling a lot more blitzes than he normally does. And they were able to beat the blitz. We couldn't get him off the field on third down. They were Kirk Cousins and his band of no-name wide receivers were able to convert over and over, time after time on third down. That kept the defense on the field. That made them tired in the fourth quarter. And it kept our offense as well as I thought they played for the first 3 quarters. It kept us off the field. So we didn't have as many opportunities to drive and score points. And, that first drive where we took it right down the field after that interception, We weren't able to punch it in. That was a huge fumble by Christian McCaffrey, and nobody's kicking himself more than he is. I mean, he's really hard on himself. So I think he'll be better in the future. He's gone a long time without fumbling the ball until this season. He's had 2, so he's got to clean that up.
Guys, there were 2 players on that team that really did 90% of the damage, and that was that rookie receiver who was absolutely fantastic, by the way.
Yeah,
he's good.
That guy's slippery. What does he have? Like 700-800 yards? Like 700 yards now? I think he's got more than that, something like that. He's doing fantastic.
Just in that one game, yeah, it seemed like.
No, he was already coming in with like he came in with like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
but
he's one of the leading receivers. He's doing really good.
He shouldn't have had that that huge 62-yard touchdown right before the half. In 16 seconds,
oh, man.
The team is
he made it happen.
The Vikings have a 3rd and 6 on their own 40-yard line, and we dial a no-0 blitz.
What the hell?
Reasons
here's
God knows.
Here's my question on that, though.
What the hell?
I don't know what that was.
Here's my question about that. Where's the safety? Why is the safety ahead of the corner? Because Travarius Ward's not a safety.
The safety was blitzing. It was a man. It was a man
it was a 0 blitz. That's right. Yeah.
So one safety was on a tight end. Another safety had to account for the running back.
Yeah.
And the corners were on the nickel, and the 2 other corners were on wide receivers. So they picked it up. Cousins was able to lob it. He actually underthrew it because there was a pretty decent pass rush because of the blitz.
Yeah.
And it went right into the chest of Charvarius Ward, but he just bobbled it, and Addison took it right out of his belly and was able to break away and score. It still shouldn't happen. Like, the risk reward of that play, calling that type of a defense at that moment in time, it didn't make sense. You don't do that.
That play shouldn't have been called, and they both admitted it this morning, I believe.
With such limited time left in the half, you have to have a safety help over the top.
Right.
And to make a play, a formation like that, you're telling Ward, you either intercept this or it's going to be a touchdown, and he didn't intercept it. The guy took it right from him, Addison. So yeah,
that's a play call that you expect out of a rookie defensive coordinator who doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL.
Yeah,
is trying to make a splash. Not from a guy like Steve Wilkes, who's done this job on a bunch of other teams. He's an older guy. He's been in every type of game, every type of matchup. It was just very uncharacteristic of his wisdom that he brings to our team. And I think Kyle was pissed after the game. I think he didn't really give a great answer, or an answer that would tell you that he was on the same page with him on that call. And he says, we gotta address it. We gotta look at the film, and I'll have a better comment for you guys.
There's a lot of things wrong with the defense in this game, man. Nobody covered Hawkinson the entire game. I mean, he's a very good tight end. Yeah. I'm a fan of his, actually, before coming into this game. But what did he get? 100 yards? He must have had 100 yards, because he was consistently open the entire night. Mm-hmm. How was he so open? Like, we have some of the best linebackers in the league.
So our linebackers, depending on the defense, if it's a zone concept, they get depth. Like, their job is to get deep into routes and then pick up people that come to the zones. The problem is Hawkinson wasn't getting that much depth, so they were kind of giving him room underneath and not really making the adjustment to shorten their depth on those zones, those zone defensive schemes.
I thought they would make an adjustment by the half. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing that you're saying, and I didn't get it. There was no adjustment made.
Something I noticed when I rewatched, a lot of times they would chip him. So they would use him as a chipper for Bosa, or I think they used him to chip a couple times against Randy Gregory. So it kind of delays his route, and I think that allows the linebackers to get even more depth and more distance from the tight end when he gets into his route. It's kind of like a little thing, but it's a big thing, and it allowed him to get that space that he needed. And sometimes it was only a 3rd and 6 or a 3rd and 5. They don't need to get that deep in their coverage. They need to be a little tighter in the coverage, and that's just like something that they'll probably see in the film this week, and they'll make some adjustments because they know other teams are going to probably take advantage of that. Yeah. And if they don't do anything differently in the next game, it's going to be ultimately the same result.
That said, Cousins is a really good quarterback. I mean, he is almost was a Niner quarterback, but he is a really good quarterback. And he was picking that defense apart. I mean, even when we had, decent formations, it just looked like even, and I would like to call out on the Rango files, Nick Bosa, because, if you're going to get that kind of money, he needs to play a little bit sharper. I don't feel like, they obviously schemed to keep him out of the game. And I don't even hear his name that many times in that game. And when they came in with 2 wins, like that team was somewhere where I thought, Bosa would have been able to, or maybe it's the way we're scheming him, but I think he needs to start stepping it up and becoming and showing us Nick Bosa. I didn't see him on the field.
It sadly might have to do with the way we're scheming him, unfortunately, from what everyone is saying. Apparently, we're not scheming him very well either. So a couple of people brought it up on different channels, on different broadcasts also. Yeah. The fact that they're bull rushing him, just going straight back, and he's not using like his plethora of these 5 other, 6 other, 7 great moves he has, like his swim technique, and he's not doing anything, dude. The Niners, a lot of people are saying that it seemed like the Niners were so concerned because they gave up a few big runs, a 19-yard run to Madison, another 7-yard run or so. They were so nervous about it, they started containing. The San Francisco defense held their own. They just wanted to contain Bosa. Don't give up the lot. Don't give up the run. Try and just get a sack just by pushing back. And you got to use your plethora of techniques. I mean, the guy is masterful with his hands,
Yeah.
Wasn't really using
it. So I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you, Mike. That's what I saw. I saw him pretty much bull rushing and try to stay in his lane. Like he wasn't trying to give up holes or lanes for the running back to get through. And part of that's because they did a pretty good job of establishing the run in the first quarter. That's what caused the defense to kind of pass rush passively the way that they did the rest of the game, and why we had to dial up a lot more blitzes than we normally do. We're not really a great. I mean, we're a good
never have
team,
been,
but I don't think we need to blitz as much or as often as we did that last game. I think we're better off when we have a 4-man rushing attack, give Bosa a little more space, allow the linebackers to blitz here and there, maybe even a safety or a cornerback blitz once in a while, but we can't be blitzing 30% of the time. That's very high for our.
And now having Gregory, that should help Bosa. Exactly. It should, if they do it right, they should be able to run stunts off, make sure that one of those guys is getting to the quarterback quickly.
Or he almost had a sack.
Or stopping.
What we've been doing for part of the season is putting 5 down linemen in the trenches. Having 5 defensive linemen.
Rather do that. Instead
of 3 linebackers. Yeah. So
anything over 4 is considered a blitz. So, which I think is kind of weird, but I just put the 5th guy down, because they really aren't getting as much pressure as they thought they would with these guys in certain games.
Right. I think Kinlaw has been having a really nice pass rush year. I think that's one of the things he does pretty well. He's not great against the run, but one thing he has done pretty well is pressure the quarterback, get close to sacking the quarterback. I don't think he has a sack just yet, but he's been very close. And when he's next to Hargrave and Eric Armstead, and you have the 2 DNs and Bosa and Farrell, that's been a very effective attack. I think we need to see a little bit more of that. Kind of work that in more than blitzing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Farrell almost had a safety there. Was pretty close to getting a safety on that end zone. He was on fire. Gregory came in storming. He almost had a sack on one play. He just went storming through the middle. He looked violent, man.
Got rid of it. It looked like it was a
he was storming. I mean, he looked like he reminded me of Greenlaw there, like the way Greenlaw just comes in like a missile. Gregory looked impressive there. I want to see him.
He reminds me a lot of D Ford. He has a similar body type. He's explosive off the line of scrimmage. He's got that gear that's probably not even Bosa can match off the line of scrimmage. Bosa's more powerful and he's got more moves, and he's very slick with his pass rush moves, but he hasn't been doing that lately. And Gregory has. Gregory's looked really good since he came on the team.
We definitely got some things to work on.
Now the scariest part in the game was when you saw Warner go down. I was so frightened. I was like,
yeah, we are.
I actually told I was like, I'd rather just take a loss in this game and have a healthy Fred Warner. then
And that's probably why we lost right there. Luke probably jinxed it for us. But, hey, you probably saved the season with that call right there. You never know, you know?
Hey, boys, are we worried about our kicker?
a little.
I mean, a 40-yard kick indoors, no weather, perfect conditions. They said the field's a little slick,
He slipped before the game. He actually slipped kicking a practice one where he landed on his butt.
I heard
straight
about
up.
that.
I think
So
he's a rookie, and it's a psychological problem.
But he came back and hit a 55,
and then he hit the 55er is going to help him catapult back into
I could be wrong.
Confidence land.
Had Robbie Gold ever kicked anything further than a 50-yard kick? That was
Gold was awesome, but he was like 52 maybe.
52 maybe, right?
52 maybe.
But automatically,
I'm not sure what his record is, but I know he hit further one time than I remember when he hit his furthest one, and it was like, oh, I didn't know he could even do that. He only did it like once in his career. So I'm gonna say he did hit like a 54 or 55 one time. I
think a Moody will come around, and in college it was like you thought they were gonna punt, and then he would kick a field goal. So he'll get it. He'll get it.
So he went to the University of Michigan, and so did our other rookie, Ronnie Bell, who we didn't really see too much of. But I read something really cool about what Ronnie Bell said to him. He wanted to speak to him after that loss to Cleveland and the missed kick at the end of the game. And he said he's one of his best friends on the team. He's not worried about his confidence, his skill, or anything like that. But he just wanted to remind him, like, there's never been a cool story or a great story that didn't have adversity in it. And I think that's what this season is kind of showing us. Like, it looked great after 5 weeks. Everybody was saying we're the best team in the league. We could possibly go undefeated, win a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of like this. I like the fact that we're seeing it's not going to be easy if you don't execute, if you have a lot of penalties, if you miss tackles. Teams can beat you. They have talent on their team too. They get paid millions of dollars just like our team. And if we don't pay attention to detail and don't fumble the ball or run routes correctly or force balls into tight windows that shouldn't be thrown, we're going to lose. You got to win some of those ugly games, but we haven't done it yet. We haven't done it in Cleveland, and we definitely didn't do it in Minnesota.
And sadly, we had a good chance on each one too.
And you also have a really good chance of losing when your defense is giving up 500 yards. I mean, it's, you look at the stats alone and you're like, holy cow, like there is a problem there, and hopefully it'll get addressed sooner than later. And we'll tighten things up on defense, because I didn't feel confident about our defense in that game.
No,
not at all.
40
secondary, especially.
Boys, there was 45 dropbacks by the Vikings, 0 sacks. It's like the biggest discrepancy in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a game where there's been 45 dropbacks with 0 sacks in a long time, and we did it.
What can we do, guys, to make this better before we move on to Cincinnati? Because the trade deadline's coming up, and I feel like there's a couple things we can do. You know me, I think outrageous type things. So I'm going to tell you what I would like. I'm not going to say that it's going to get us a ring, but it would sure hell make me go to sleep better at night. If I'm the Niners and I know this is what it's going to cost, I'm going all in the way McVay did. I hate to say it, but just hear me out. I'm shooting for Patrick Surtain. He's not happy. They're going to have a fire sale. It looks like they said that he's basically the only guy they don't want to trade. It's going to cost you probably at least 2 number 1 picks.
Yeah.
So who does he replace? Who does he replace?
I put him to replace Lenore and then move Lenore to nickel.
Okay. So you're going to give up
now you've got 2 number 1.
2 or 3 first-round picks. Because remember, our first-round picks are probably going to be late, so they're going to want more than just 2 first-round picks.
I'm cheap, and I know Lynch is cheap too when it comes to stuff like this. So I'm offering 2 first-round picks and like a third. And I think that's what he's worth, and he is worth it. He is on a rookie contract, so if we get him, as long as we can find a way to afford him, we can get him. Right now, we can afford him with no problems. So you're talking about an elite corner, like a top 5 corner. He's better than Travis Ward, who I like, by the way. So he becomes our number 1. We got Travis Ward, and we got Lenore at number 3.
He's really replacing the nickel cornerback, because Lenore's still going to be on the field. You just want to move him to a different position.
Yeah, I think I'd put Lenore. Patrick Surtain's too good to not have him on there as much as humanly possible. He's a number one corner.
Yeah,
He's better than Travarius Ward.
Right.
I'd make him number one, Ward number two, Lenore number three.
What's just off the top of your head, like how many yards? What's like the PFF grade for our current nickel cornerback? Is he getting roasted on a game to game basis? Is he
when
going after him?
It's we have kind of like a rotation. If you notice, it kind of depends on the game. We don't have like a solidified nickel really. Isaiah Oliver's been playing pretty good. He gets this, but every game he has like a lapse. Ambry Thomas has been dreadful.
But he hasn't been on the field. He hasn't played in the last.
Well, that's why he's no longer on the field. But we've been kind of rotating them too.
But
and we don't have anyone else.
I think we
don't have any depth there.
I think we're okay at the cornerback position. If we're going to upgrade anywhere, it's going to be on the offensive line. But that's
the other place we need help at.
I'm actually worried about Ward because they throw so many damn flags every time. Every time there's a close play, they throw the flag on Ward. I haven't even seen.
I really don't even blame him on a lot. There was, the BS one in Cleveland. There was a BS one last night too. Yeah, I didn't.
It sucks. Yeah.
If the defender touches you, should have the right to touch the defender again. You do it out of nature anyway.
Yeah, and we talked about pass rush already.
I'm not blaming him.
If we can bolster our pass rush, get a Brian Burns, I think that would be a better use of trading away future first-round picks than Patrick Surtain. I love Patrick Surtain, but I don't.
Savage, dude. He's the guy I wanted to draft. He's I've always had it in for him. I thought he was going to be great. His father was great. So here's the thing, man. If we lose Lenore or anyone on the starting cornerbacks, who's our backup? They don't trust Womack to save his life. I don't know why. Management knows more than I do because Womack, every time you put him out there, seems to do pretty damn good. So Lucas, here's my biggest concern though. Again, aside from the right side of the O-line, I do think we'd be better off bringing someone in. It won't be as expensive, obviously, as getting a corner. But here's the thing: if Lenore or any one of those starting corners go down, they don't trust Womack, even though every time he plays, he does something good. So you never see him out there. Ambry Thomas is horrible. There's no depth at corner. That's my biggest worry. Because I feel like Kyle finds a way to scheme up offensive plays, even when if you notice, Kyle always has a makeshift O-line. He doesn't go out and really invest in his O-line up to now. I think next year he will.
Yeah.
But you'd rather get the offensive linesman then?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find a trade partner right now. We're kind of up against it. I think the trade line is actually next week. So
it's on Halloween.
It's on Halloween, right? So we gotta do something quick if they're going to do anything. I think pass rush is probably the thing that they're going to try to really focus on. I think Brian Burns would be a good addition.
Gentlemen, real quick, just predictions, or let's just give a quick look at the Cincinnati games. We can get going here tonight. We already know, more likely than not, we're kind of thinking Darnold Duck is going to be the quarterback for this one. It's got me feeling like if I'm Kurt Cobain, but that's another story. I'm on suicide alert, so to speak. But I'll tell you what, man, they've had issues throughout the year also, Cincinnati has. Their O-line is dreadful. Like, if you can't get a sack on that O-line, you might as well. I'm putting in my ticket for the season to finish if we can't get a sack in this game. This is the game that you should be able to get a sack. You should be able to get 5 sacks in this game. So I can't see us losing 3 in a row with how disappointed Kyle looked after the game. I think the coach is not on a hot seat, but he's feeling the heat like crazy. Even though they only gave up 22. When you give up 22 points, you should be able to win the game, right? If you think about it. But with that said, gentlemen, I'm not going to say everything gets fixed this week because it's not, especially since Trent Williams isn't playing. Debo's out. Niners, you know what? Flip the score around. Niners 22-16, 22-17. Similar score.
I think Darnold Duck. I got his
You got it right.
I think he's actually going to have a good game. It's going to scare people that he's going to have 3 touchdown passes, and we're going to actually win 21-7.
So what you're saying is you should pick up Darnold Duck on your fantasy team this week And that's the secret to winning. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Quack, quack.
Ortiz, brother, how are you feeling?
I wish I had your guys' optimism. I'm not looking at this game as gonna have the type of outcome that you guys have it. I think we're actually gonna lose again. This is gonna be rock bottom though. Brock will be back after the bye against Jacksonville, and I will be in attendance at that game. This is gonna be like a 25-23 Cincinnati Bengals win, guys. I'm sorry. I have to pick against the 40.
Darnold's mom is not very happy.
I don't think Darnold will be terrible, but I don't think he'll be good enough to win this game. I think Cincinnati's going to pull out. Cincinnati's going to pull out a last-second McPherson field goal to win the game, and Niner fans are going to bitch and moan and be depressed for about 2 weeks, and then we're going to come out of that bye and get hot again. You know, this is the story that kind of, you know, happened last year. We had a miserable first half of the season, and then we turned into the hottest team in football until Brock got hurt in the NFC Championship game. So that's how I see it.
Through some losses, gentlemen. I mean, we had like 15 in a row. Brock had lost no games. I mean, you know, the streak had to finish at some point. We might have peaked early. Hopefully we don't. We might have peaked early, but you know what? You want to get these losses out of the way too. Now maybe we could start another 15-game win streak or whatever it is between now and going to the Super Bowl. And it's a shame Luke's voice is bad today. For those people out there that don't know, he does some amazing voice impressions. Just so you know. So I wonder, can you do a Donald Duck?
I mean, maybe. I will try it next week.
Next week when your voice is better. Maybe I'm curious.
That would make his throat worse.
Yeah, totally.
You know? Yeah, no, not now. Yeah. But I'd like to see if you can do it because I have faith in you. I've seen you do some crazy stuff. So, with that said, people, like and subscribe so we can get the content out to you as soon as possible. With that said, 2-1 of us here today say that Niners win.
I hope I'm wrong.
I agree with Ortiz. It will be a hard game.
Maybe a little reverse psychology.
Yeah, but I'm going to go. You know me. I play it like a politician. I go both ways. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Not in that sense, but you get my point. Let me
It's the Stick Niner Empire Podcast.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners. Have a great night, people.
Later, guys.